it's a common trait. Again, this is your story, no one else's, right? There's no two of the same, but it's such a common trait that we start with the physical elements and then move on. And usually because we have to, not even because, you have aha moments, but we usually, yeah, it's like gut protocol, detox. It's usually these physical things we're trying to find an answer of the body, not of the mind, not
Yeah,
of the spiritual elements.
totally.
And it's only through aha or serendipitous kind of things that you realize, wait a second, maybe this is a little further. Yes, that's important. You have to be in shape, take care of your gut. But so many initiating factors start in the mind,
Yeah.
start in the belief systems, in traumas that we keep and attach in our subconscious, right? And I know you talk about these elements of healing, and so many are beyond. I know there's the water and food you have to have that's healthy and clean, but there's so much more. And I love that idea of your words and thoughts matter.
Yeah, that's one of my
We
favorite
have
ones.
so
Yeah.
many of these thoughts that we persistently display and that our cells are listening to. Where was it in your healing transformation that you started to really pick up on maybe these things I'm telling myself or my thoughts are truly impacting me? And that's actually a really powerful notion if it's true.
Well, I will say the first time I realized it, I was working with an intuitive, so I'm
Mm,
spiritual too, or I was dabbling, I guess I should say at the time. And she told me, she said, "Do you hear what you're saying?" I kept saying the body and my inflammation. And she said, "You're giving ownership to this inflammation and not ownership to your own body." Like it was just a subconscious way of talking. I was so used to being so disconnected. So that was kind of the first time. And when I was doing all this shadow work with the coach, that also was a big one for me to see these limiting beliefs that I truly had lived by my entire life. And I don't just think it's, I had some childhood trauma, like I said, and there was some verbal. So I do think that's part of it. But maybe this is just part of my journey here was to heal these deep-seated limiting beliefs and um, create self-love, know that I'm powerful, know that I'm important to what I say in meetings matter. And, that's been a big journey because I was definitely had previously lived by, being as small as possible, as quiet as
mm,
possible, not making waves. A friend even pointed out who's a physical therapist that when I was sick, even my gait was very small. Everything was tucked
mm.
in. I was living very small. So it's been a journey of just having that confidence and self-love and taking up space in this world and telling myself that I matter. So affirmations have really helped me because I think it's just helping reprogram maybe things that I've heard or believed, but it's been huge for me. So yeah, I fully believe words and thoughts, one of my pillars, like so incredibly important. I agree.
And isn't it funny how our physical actions or attributes are really a representation? Me, myself, I could talk about this. I've never been quite flexible, like literally can't touch my toes and have worked on, but I realized I was pretty rigid in a lot of the ways I go about things too. I'm not flexible in life, and that's not a
Yeah,
good thing. And I've been working on and finding that I am more loose, right? I'm not so uptight and everything. It's like,
yeah,
yes, when you have, even when you look at pains in certain areas, they're representations of something about you. And
yeah,
so it's kind of cool when you start to look at things through that lens, not just like, oh, genetics, I'm inflexible and that's life, but literally, how can I prove based off what my body is telling me through my mind and through everything?
yeah,
So, I mean,
absolutely.
you found that in the gate. Do you find yourself now walking differently, presenting differently as you've kind of
Yeah,
evolved?
I think it's holding my head higher,
Mm,
slowing down my gait. I've really learned because it was my right side of the body, so that's your masculine side, right? So part of the healing journey also has been incorporating or reincorporating the feminine too. So slowing down, trusting, allowing, receiving. Um, so I'm much more aware of my gait too, and aware just in general that I matter and maintaining the balance of your masculine and feminine. I believe, so much about healing is creating balance. So that's really helped too. So yeah, when I find myself, even if I'm hurrying, walking, I'm like, why am I doing that? Let me just walk,
Yeah.
slower and calmer too. So it's kind of a daily thing still, to remind myself, but I definitely think it's changed for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be talking to you if I was still in that scared, fearful mindset and being small and not
Yeah.
add value. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and you see this a lot with people, like, even with low self-esteem and everything, a lot of times it's hunched over, poor posture, you could say, how they present themselves head up, right? And
Yeah.
just changing that and shifting your appearance, putting your shoulders back, head up, that signals, just like sometimes they say, just smile. If you're having a bad day, move these muscles into a smile, and that reacts into the neurotransmitters that'll release things as if you're happy, right? And that's a good thing, and you'll change your whole mood around. So it works both ways. You could kind of use your body to trick your mind in a sense, but of course, from your mind comes a lot into your body. And one of the things you mentioned that I see a lot of with people that go from, doctor or specialist to specialist is they do it in a state of fear. They go into the doctor's office already fearing. And let's be honest, most of what you hear, like you said, you go into the rheumatoid kind of, portion of a hospital or to a rheumatic specialist, and there's a fearful kind of connotation of what are they going to tell me?
Yeah.
What is this diagnosis that is forever going to change me and make my life for the worse? And rightfully so, there is a lot of fear. Like, how did you handle that? And where did you actually go into it with, wait a second, I am going into this with a lot of fear, and that could be part of the problem?
I think working with this coach that I enlisted weekly when we were tackling things, it made me kind of start to connect the dots with fear-based responses I had at medical appointments. I would remember that, one doctor would tell me it was the one of the more severe fear-based responses she had ever
Mm.
witnessed. And that's pretty big at the time to hear. So just realizing that, I started to notice my patterns of like instant worst case scenario thought processes, right? That I just started to become more aware of it and realize that's not how everyone else thinks. And then connected the dots to, oh, I'm in a survival state of
Mhm.
survival mode, fight or flight. And then it was that huge realization that, oh, I've lived this way my entire life. And it still makes me want to cry now thinking that for 40 plus years, I lived in fight or flight and fear and
Mhm.
survival. And I do think there's some from, not feeling safe as a child, but also maybe it's just, again, something I needed to heal in this life, in this journey. So, um, yeah, I think it was a lot of things, but just really connecting the dots to make that realization that I lived this way and other people didn't. And I didn't want to live that way anymore, frankly. And I realized the fear was impacting my health and I needed to fix it, turn it around.
You say other people did it. I have to say a lot of people do. A
Okay.
lot of people live that way, right? Don't think that.
Yeah.
I just had Dr. Kelly Brogan on the other day, and we were getting into this of like how many people have a not balanced central nervous system because they are in
Right.
a constant state of fight or flight. And she's like, it's the biggest problem I have noticed with everyone.
Got it.
That they're always in some state. Now, how drastic it is, whether they're truly like saber-tooth tiger and back of me feeling at all times, ready to
Yeah.
pounce, is one thing. But for the most part, most of us in this modern day are completely sympathetically activated, meaning we're in that fight or flight
Yeah.
response,
Okay.
even though we don't really have that perceived notion of fear always, but the cells are in kind of this active danger mode, and they pick up on that, and you then get into the habitual state of that, and that is a way of living that just becomes a norm for many people.